Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we continue on the season here, the third season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series, and we continue on the chase towards the chase for the championship. Get ready for race number 16 here today in the desert of Phoenix International Raceway. 32 laps on tap here as the Almond Joy Series takes another week off. We'll be seeing them as well as Hersheys Cup next week, and I believe next week we're going to Arizona Speedway, but we are here in Phoenix, so we're going to be sticking around here in Arizona for a couple of weeks. National Raceway, very difficult racetrack, a lot of tire wear issues here in the past of drivers having to deal with the heat, the brake rotors. You add all that in, and a lot of drivers have had tire issues in the past, so tire conservation could be a big key into the outcome of this race and who's going to be going to victory lane, maybe getting themselves a spot in this season's chase for the championship. As a matter of fact, the point standings, as I look at them coming into today's race, I mean, they are so close. And there are so many candidates up there that haven't gotten a win yet that if they do get a win, they've got themselves in a great spot to make the chase. At this point, we have 13 different race winners. Of those 13 different race winners, 12 of them are inside the top 30 in points. So right now, we could technically say 12 of the 16 available in the chase for the championship currently are held by former race winners this season. The only driver that's outside the top 30 in points is John Bunnell, but I don't think he even made this race, actually. He's really been trying to make races. Yeah, he's not in this race. As a matter of fact, there's his teammate, his brand new teammate, actually, Jake Moss in the 53. Moss making his debut here today, replacing Tripantakivernio. But, yeah, John Bunnell, things not looking good for him and his win at Bermuda counting towards a spot in the championship unless by some miracle he can find his way into some races here, get good enough finishes to move up into the top 30 in points. But you look at some of these names up here that are close to the top of the standings that don't have wins yet this season, like L Alvarise. He's been close many times. Z Flickinger, Trent Dunham, Joshua Michaels, J Arndt, J Srigley, Levi McIntire. These are drivers that are inside the top 15 in the point standings, but they haven't found victory lane yet this year. So maybe today, maybe something can happen. And also should mention too that Tim Walsh, with his win last week at Darlington, he's moved up into the 10th spot in the point standings. So Tim Walsh having a very good season. As J Shelton lines up on the pole position, Shelton, another driver who has yet to find victory lane this year. She comes into this race 17th in the point standings, got involved in a bit of a problem with the green flag pit stops that took place last week at Darlington. Didn't get exactly the greatest of finishes and dropped 4 spots in the standings, but she could definitely bounce back here today. She'll start off alongside of K Tellier. Tellier trying to join K Mathews and M Haas as a 2-time winner this season, as Tellier went to victory lane at Infineon earlier this year. And there is K Mathews that I just mentioned. He's going to roll off behind his Retro Racing Enterprises teammate J Shelton. Mathews looking for his 3rd win of the season, and Mathews is actually 20th in the point standings, so definitely a win, or at least a good finish, would help get this team back into form, as the last couple of weeks have not been exactly all that great for the Kings Island Chevrolet. And we mentioned Levi McIntire, one of those drivers up in the top 15 in points, doesn't have a win. Well, he rolls off from the 4th position. So it's time to get these cars rolling off here. They'll be behind the pace car, and they'll make these 4 turns before we put them under the green flag. And as I mentioned, one driver is making his Hersheys Cup Series debut here today, and that is the 53 of Jake Moss, making it into his first race of his career. O'Neill Baldwin, John Zedadino, Matthew Dalio, Elijah Gilbert, Garrett Sidner, I should say. I was going to say Grayson Acavita for some reason. And William Duncan. They are the drivers that race their way into this event via knockout qualifying. So, let's find out who's going to find victory lane here today. Cole Baker is the points leader coming into this race by 30 points over K Tellier. Then L Alvarise, Z Flickinger, M Haas. That's your top 5 in points. Top 10 is Hartnett, McIntosh, Dunham, Baskinger, and Tim Walsh with his win last week at Darlington moves up to the 10th position. Here we go. Getting ready to go green for 32 laps of racing here in the desert. Race 16 at Phoenix is green. Line is usually the preferred line here into the corner, but off the corner is the other prevails. You can see here with K Tellier. Look at K Mathews Gonna stick his teammate in the middle. Now they settle back out to double wide in that battle for second. K Tellier now moves out to the race lead. You can see there, K Tellier moving up to the middle groove, not holding it right down on the bottom. I mean, we're here in the desert. There's very little cloud cover. The sun's been beaten down on this racetrack, so grip's going to be very difficult for these drivers to find if they're going to try and dial it up on the inside line. Right there, K Tellier was able to get the 2 left side tires down close to that yellow line, but as the tires start to go away, I'm not exactly sure how long drivers will be able to do that. Tellier with the lead, Mathews into second. Third now is Fitzwater, Arndt to fourth, and Shelton, the pole sitter, is now falling back into fifth position. We got a battle on for second. Here comes Fitzwater to the inside on K Mathews. Fitzwater had a good run last week at Darlington, was able to play the fuel strategy well enough to be able to come away with a top 10 finish, and Fitzwater finds himself 16th in the point stands, but still trying to find his first win of the season. Fitzwater was a 2-time winner last year in the Hersheys Cup Series, winning at Rockingham, UK, and can't quite remember where the other track was. I want to say it might have been Rockingham, North Carolina, but I might be wrong. J Arndt, his finishes have really picked up since the All-Star break. He's now up to 13th in the point gains. He almost just got into Zachary Fitzwater there. Fitzwater's teammate J Baskinger, already a winner this season at Bristol Dirt. And Fitzwater would like to be able to join his Fitzwater Australia Racing teammate in the chase if both Dodge Darts can make it. He did last year. Fitzwater now with a bit of a commanding lead between himself and K Tellier. Battle on for third. J Arndt under fire from K Mathews. Right behind them, you've got Haas in the 78. So you got both of our 2-time winners, both of our, I put this in quotes, confirmed drivers in the chase running their 4th and 5th right now, Mathews and Haas. And the battle's on for second. J Arndt trying to get to the inside of K Tellier, going into 3, can't make the move. You saw right there, car tightening up on him. Probably the rear wheel spinning as he tried to cut the course a little bit there using that inside line to try again down here into 1 and 2, but K Tellier runs the same line as he does. Now J Arndt going to turn it hard to the left, try and make a move there on the back straightaway through the dog leg, but not close enough to make a move just yet. J Bryant has now moved up into the 6th position. He's being hounded by Blaine Keys. Bryant comes into this race 27th in the point stands. He actually picked up 4 spots in the stands last week, so get himself away from 30th in points. Now he just got to find himself a trip to victory lane. Blaine Keys there, our winner from Gravity City Industrial Zone. He actually lost some spots last week, dropped to 12th in points, but still right now in position to get a chase spot. And this is the battle that's going on right now for the 8th position. J Richardson, our Daytona 500 winner, Sean Gallighan. Last week's winner, T Walch. Jessica Shelton, who started up front, has now dropped all the way back. Last time scored in the 12th position for the Mountain Dew Supernova Chevrolet. Levi McIntyre has also seemed to drop back quite a bit as well, now to the 13th spot. There's our points leader, Cole Baker, coming into this race as they are 3 wide behind him. Dallas McIntosh, Michael Norman, our winner from Charlotte, Cody Llamas, our winner from Dover. Zach Flickinger, defending champion Chris Dodd in this mix. I was also looking, we have 35 drivers that are locked into each race this season, which means that there are 5 drivers every week that are outside the top 30 in the point days that are chartered rides. And as I look back here, a couple of them are right here. Anthony McCrury, Brandon Gonzalez, and Benjamin Miles. They are actually 31st, 32nd, and 33rd in the points, respectively. The other 2 drivers that are outside the top 30 in the point standings would be Daniel Voyles and Carson Scott. They need to get finishes here, if they're going to have a chance later on to find victory lane, they need to be in the top 30 in points to have that win count towards a chase position. Fitzwater still out in front, Arndt to second, Mathews to third, K Tellier is now dropped back to fourth. Got a good battle going on here for about the 5th, 6th, 7th position. M Haas and J Bryant. I wonder if 12 laps into this race and 20 to go when Fitzwater hits the line, with tire wear as a possible issue, will these drivers have to make green flag pit stops? I'll tell you what, the last couple of weeks, we've run pretty clean races. Think back to Charlotte in the Coca-Cola 600, we only had one caution flag there. Last week at Darlington, we only had one caution take place there. And now as soon as I say this, the caution flag is out for the first time here at Phoenix. So this will kind of take away any strategy there might have been of green flag pit stops for these drivers. They're more than likely all going to come to pit road here under this caution flag. So the first caution comes out on lap 13. Zachary Fitzwater, the race leader, and we'll check to see if these drivers do come to pit road. I'd be surprised if anybody decides to stay out, especially with the known tire wear at this racetrack. You're going to want to come to pit road and get yourself four fresh Goodyears. Why would you risk having to pit under green when you can pit under the yellow flag? You saw the skid marks there between the turn 3 and 4 area. Pit road is open and nobody is coming to pit road for the leaders. Oh, that's interesting. So maybe they can make it on fuel and they're willing to risk it on tires. Well, whatever the case, we're going to step aside and take a look at a replay. We'll put us under this first caution of the day here at Phoenix, so don't go anywhere. And this was pretty close to the rear of the field. It was actually around the 38th position. As Matt Dallio, they're 3 wide. They're actually 3 wide behind him. And then William Duncan gets a nice run into the corner. Let's see who makes the mistake here. Duncan turns his car in. Yeah, I think that might have been on the 60. Turning down into Dallio's quarter panel, and Dylan Poteet nowhere for the Dragon Ball Z Chevrolet to be able to go. Tough break there as he was basically an innocent bystander. And Matt Dallio's car was the one that got turned around, and I don't think they were going to throw the caution at this point. You can see the caution light still green, but then when the car was facing the wrong direction, then NNSCRA officials decided, all right, we better throw this yellow flag out, because it was towards the rear of the field, so I think they were hoping that maybe it would settle itself out and we'd be able to continue to run green, but apparently that was not going to be the case as the car was turned around facing oncoming traffic. So that is what brought out the caution. So about maybe 3 cars involved in this one. Duncan, Dallio getting the most damage out of it, and Dylan Poteet. Let's go back now to green, see if these drivers can make it on fuel, but I would really question the fact that they didn't come down and get fresh tires. We're gotten the 1 to go signal. We'll go back green on lap 18 of 32, which should give us 15 laps to go. Now, the big reason why I'm really questioning why they wouldn't come to pit road is twofold. One, obviously for handling issues, making sure that you're not going to have to pit under green in case the tire, ends up belting a bead or something with the brakes that you use here at this racetrack and everything. I mean, that's obviously one thing you don't want to do, throw away a possible win. But secondly as well, with lack of tires comes lack of grip, especially with the heat that's in this racetrack. And if someone's going to make a move on you and you're going to try and defend your position, you've got to make sure your car is going to stick in whichever lane you're trying to defend. And I would think that with worn tires, you're not going to be able to get your car to do exactly what you want to do in whichever line you're trying to defend. So from not only an offensive standpoint, but also a defensive standpoint, I would have thought that coming to pit road, getting 4 fresh tires would have been the right call. But since the leader didn't come, I guess that's why nobody else came, at least up here inside the front of the field. So here we go. Green flag back out with 15 laps to go. Fitzwater out in front. And we'll see what these guys can do on these old tires. already going to work. He's going to move by K Tellier, move from 5th up to 4th. It's pretty much what you got to do on these old tires. Get every bit of position you can, because when the tires start going away, you're not going to be able to charge up through the field like Blaine Keys was able to do there on that restart. Drop back here, and Matt Haas, J Bryant. Battle is on between those two. That's for 6th place. James Richardson right in the mix. Last week's winner, Tim Walsh. I'll tell you what, that win at Darlington looks like it lit a fire under him. He's all of a sudden making his presence felt up here in the top 10 for the 2nd week in a row. Fitzwater leading this race. His teammate's not too far behind. J Baskinger is now moved by Sean Gallighan. Now move him into the 10th position. Gallighan's going to try the crossover into turn 1. Doesn't look like he's close enough to make that move, though. So not a bad run for both the Dodge Darts out of Fitzwater Australia Racing. But Fitzwater's not out of the woods. Here comes J Arndt, looking for the race lead. L Mathews and Blaine Keys also there within striking distance. We've seen before at Phoenix, this track, if you let someone to your inside and they go by you, there's usually about 3-4 other guys willing to take advantage of keeping you on the high line and freight train you. I think that's what happened to pole sitter Jessica Shelton, why we saw her out in front at the start, and then she seemed to drop back outside the top 10. Blaine Keys continuing to fight his way towards the front. Restarted in 5th, is now looking to take 3rd place away from Kyle Mathews. Mathews going to try and battle back on the high side there out of 4. Get a good run on the high side out of 2 and 4, and Mathews trying to use that to his advantage, but he still has Keys to his inside going into 1. Going to try and battle back on the high side of 2, and I believe he may have him cleared. Not yet. Keys is still there. Oh, little wobble there, though, from Blaine Keys, and now Mathews will clear him. Battle for the lead is on again. J Arndt to the inside on Zachary Fitzwater, side by side for the race lead, coming to the start-finish line. Apologize for my dogs, as Fitzwater by about half a car length will get that lap led, but J Arndt still alongside trying to take the lead. We got the battle on for the lead. We got the battle on for 3rd. J Arndt and Zachary Fitzwater, they haven't found victory lane yet this season. Kyle Mathews and Blaine Keys battling for 3rd place. They both have been to victory lane a total of 3 times between the 2 of them. 4 if you count the All-Star race. And again, Fitzwater with the outside line advantage. A little squirrely going there into 1, though. J Arndt trying to hang tough, but Fitzwater gets back to the gas earlier than Arndt can, and Fitzwater, at least for now, hangs on to the race lead. And now J Arndt falls back into the clutches of Blaine Keys. Well, clears the 8 car. Thought Keys might have thoughts about trying to drive it hard into 3 for 2nd, but instead he's still in that battle for 3rd with Kyle Mathews. Mathews doing a good job using that high line as well, just like Fitzwater did to keep the lead. Kyle Mathews continuing to use the high line to try and keep the 3rd position away from Blaine Keys. See right there, a little bit of a wiggle from the U.S. Army Chevy on the inside line. Kyle Mathews' car looked a lot more stable on the middle to high line. He also has the advantage of getting back to the throttle sooner than Blaine Keys does. You see right there, that run he gets off the corner. I think he's going to take 3rd place. Yes, he is. So Kyle Mathews back to 3rd. Keys back to 4th. J Arndt, meanwhile, still trying to reel Fitzwater back in, try and mount another charge. Appears to be losing a little bit of ground. Maybe he might have used up all his stuff. Remember, he was running the inside line. And the inside line, especially with the looseness we've seen of drivers trying to run the inside line, could probably wear your tires down more. You can see right there, J Arndt still running down on the inside line. Fitzwater running the middle, and that middle line is helping Fitzwater to open the gap between himself and J Arndt. Fitzwater down on the bottom of the racetrack. J Arndt follows them, but if we follow these two going into 3, watch the lines these two take. They're entirely different, at least they were last lap. Fitzwater puts it down close to the middle. J Arndt runs it a little bit lower and then slides up about a half groove higher off the corner, but he got a good run that time. Got a really good run off of turn 4, and he may have a challenge once again for Fitzwater. If he can run that line again through 4, he may be able to get right to Fitzwater's back bumper. Let's see if he can. He cannot drive it too deep into the corner. Follow into the tire tracks of Fitzwater. Fitzwater slides up. Arndt slides up again. Tries to get the run off the corner, and this time it stays about status quo between himself and the 76. Scoring monitor actually says he lost a little bit of ground, lost a tenth to Fitzwater on that lap. Fitzwater is much better through 1 and 2. J Arndt, if he can get the right line, he's better through 3 and 4. Oh, he drove it really hard into the corner that time. That's going to cost him. Yeah, he drove, well, may not cost him actually. He got a little bit better of a run off the corner. And did he close it up? Nope, he actually lost ground again, they're saying. Yeah, he looks like he's gaining ground off of 4, but every time he does, he seems like he loses it again in turns 1 and 2. He's right in the mirror of Fitzwater, but Fitzwater's just got to worry about running his own line. J Arndt's the one that's got to worry about moving around, finding some bit of grip, some bit of momentum off the corners, and he lost a lot of ground there off of 4 that time. 2 laps to go. The gap continuing to grow between Fitzwater and J Arndt, as Arndt may have used up all that he had in that one attempt to get the race lead away from Fitzwater. J Arndt trying, but time is not working with him. Flagman is holding the white flag. He will display it over the hood of the Wilson Security Dodge Dart of Zachary Fitzwater, 2-time winner last season, looking for a win this season. Second win of the season for Fitzwater Australia Racing, and first win for the 76 team. J Arndt just not close enough. He'd have to drive it really deep into the corner, hope it sticks, and even then I'm not sure he could get to Fitzwater's back bumper. Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time, Zachary Fitzwater driving a great race here today. He's going to take the checkered flag here at Phoenix. All Fitzwater had to do was just run his line, the line that was working for him all race. Pressure was on J Arndt, and Arndt just couldn't find something different to be able to close up the distance between himself and Zachary Fitzwater. So Fitzwater Australia Racing has their second driver go to victory lane here this season, and they may be looking for back-to-back seasons where both rides make the chase for the championship. J Arndt will have to settle for second. Blaine Keys comes home in third. Kyle Mathews and Matt Haas, the 2-time winners, solid runs for them in 4th and 5th. K Tellier gets 6th. How about the points leader Cole Baker from out of nowhere gets a top 10 in 7th. J Richardson will get 8th, 9th place for J Bryant, and J Baskinger puts both of the Fitzwater Australia Racing cars in the top 10 with a 10th place finish. Tim Walsh gets 11th. 12th place will be Carson Scott. 13th is Sean Gallighan. 14th place, Daniel Voyles. Nice run for him, as he really needed that. Emmanuel Hartnett will get 15th, and it's Michael Norman, Chris Dodd, Z Flickinger. How about Jake Moss in his debut race? He was the highest finishing of the go-home drivers, and 19th place for that 53 car. Nicely done. And completing the top 20 is Joseph Srigley. Then it's Joshua Michaels, Benjamin Miles, Brandon Gonzalez, O'Neill Baldwin, Jessica Shelton. The pole sitter fell all the way back to 25th. Levi McIntyre fell all the way back to 26th. Apparently both those race cars were not to their liking during the course of this race. Cody Llamas, Elijah Gilbert, Charles Sandfer, and Joshua Ciculli. That was your top 30. Then it was Nathan Hudson, Dallas McIntosh, Keith Batson, Garrett Sidner, Anthony McCrury, Lee, and Alvarise. The guy who came in 3rd in points dropped all the way back to finish 36th. John Cittadino, Trent Dunham, 8th in points. He lost 3 spots last week at Darlington. He'll lose more after a 39th place finish here today. William Duncan, Matthew Dalio. Then it was Dylan Young and Dylan Poteet in 41st and 42nd. So not good runs for a number of drivers down there at the bottom of the finishing results. But that's going to do it here from Phoenix. Zachary Fitzwater gets his first win of the season and potentially maybe a spot in the chase for the championship. We're up to 13 now. 13 different race winners inside the top 30 in the points. 3 spots potentially still up for grabs in the chase for the championship, with still a long way to go in the regular season. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's race, be sure to give us a big like, subscribe to Compare the Crew today. We'll now show you your point stands heading into next week as mobile TBT, as Almond Joy and Hersheys will head to Arizona Speedway next for their respective races next weekend. You've been watching Protecting the SRA, offline racing at its best.